Guys, that was, I guess that's what they call Big Ten football. And what an unbelievable game. You're looking up there at the score early, and you're like, okay, it's 2-0. Man, Iowa does such a good team, a good job of being in the fight, continually being in the fight. I felt like we were winning in a lot of categories tonight, and they were just hanging around, and they did a great job. Like, obviously, they're right there in it, and you got to give a lot of credit to them for the position they put themselves in. I think there's going to be a lot of learning moments for us on how we can finish games like this, but, to get the ball back with a little bit of time and our guys go execute a 2-minute drive, I think just tells you the heart and resiliency of our group. We talk about strength in numbers. We had some guys that had to step up their opportunities, and they were ready for their opportunities this week, which is unbelievable. Great for them. I know everybody will want some updates on injuries and where guys are at. I'm really just proud of the way the guys played, but ultimately it's kind of a weird week. We didn't have a lot of contact. DeCorian kind of tweaked his knee on a non-contact play and Spiders. Think he's going to be okay, but was obviously out tonight. Kenyon's really been kind of had lingering injuries since the Rutgers game where he makes a big catch in the end zone, and just we wanted to give him the ability to try to recover from that because he's tried to practice and it hasn't been what it needed to be, and Harkey rolled his ankle, but he was really close to being able to potentially help us in this game, and kind of same with D-Jack. So all those guys being out, you see a bunch of guys step up, and you need guys to step up in big moments like this. Faced some adversity early in the game with the interception, and guys just putting each other on each other's back, right? Defense coming up with a big takeaway. Really good. We said special teams had to be special tonight. We weren't going to let 21 beat us in special teams, right? I thought our guys did an outstanding job of covering, and you can't say enough good things about Atticus Sappington. You want to talk about ice in your veins in a moment like that. Several big kicks. I probably should have tried the kick earlier. There was a little bit of a long field goal with the wind down there in that end, and we ended up putting it, but ultimately, really proud of the way these guys played and attacked. We can open it up.
Dan, take us through the last 2-minute drive there. We had seen Malik out in prior possessions tonight to come in that spot, and you're not calling timeouts. Were you looking at personnel lock to set up that time? Walk us through that.
Yeah, you're giving me too much credit, James. We're looking not to sub, to give them an opportunity to sub. We felt really good about Malik in the situation. We had some repeater calls that we can use in 2-minute scenarios. We caught them in man-to-man. We knew that they were going to potentially be aggressive there at the end, and that's the quarterback and the wideout being on the same page of saying, okay, if I get one eye, like, here's where I'm going. And Malik went and made a great play. We knew where we were going to utilize our timeouts. I think a lot of people in college football panic and start using timeouts outside the 1-minute mark. That's never been our philosophy here. I think we used them exactly how we wanted to use them there. I think the first one was probably, 23, 24 seconds, right? Kind of in my mind is inside the 30-second mark. We wanted to make sure we reserve one if we needed it for a field goal. Obviously, we had that. And then we want to make sure we have the whole field available, and you don't have to just throw the ball out of bounds. So utilizing that second time out, so we were able to throw the ball in the middle of the field and still have an option there as well. But the guys executed it flawlessly, and then Atticus makes a great kick.
On the left there, you mentioned kind of all the dynamics that are in part in that 2-minute drive and kind of all the specific things. How important was it Dante to be able to execute that?
Man, Dante was lights out in that drive, and it reminds me of what we do in practice when we put our guys in a lot of scenarios like that. I don't ever give them a minute 51. I don't ever give them that much time in practice to go execute that same situation. So they were able to do it quick. Will did a good job, I thought, of starting off with some runs, which was important. To make sure that they know the run's still alive, especially when you have 3 timeouts. We were short of the first down a couple times. Nobody panicked, got up and lined up, and I think we even converted a short yardage there on a 3rd and 1 with a tempo and balance play. So ultimately, just really good job by our coaches, and really unbelievable job by our players in those moments.
In the middle, Chris.
Yeah, back to that kick by Atticus to win it. What's that moment like for you, being on the sideline watching him go out there? I mean, what's going through your head in those moments?
Well, if you want the truth, I was pretty nervous. Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous for him because it shouldn't come down to that moment for Atticus, and that guy's going to feel an unbelievable amount of pressure however that goes, but I'm really proud that he's able to handle a moment like that. We do a lot of pressure kicks in practice and try to recreate it, but there ain't nothing like 70,000 fans, right? Last second of the game, was it 7 seconds left, having to kick that kick? You can't recreate that in practice, and Atticus handled it like a champ, man.
Next one, Tyson.
Just kind of going off of that, there are so many things that you can recreate in practice. I imagine field goals is one of the things that you don't feel like you have control over. This program has a history of November kicks not going in their favor. Like, did you see anything during the week where you're like, he's got this in him today?
I see it consistently, throughout practice. It just happened to be this is the game where we needed all of them, and I think he's done a really good job for us. And I'm excited that he can have that moment because he works really, really hard. Nobody's going to credit the squib kick there at the end, but obviously they struggled to field the squib. I just thought our specialists played really well today, and like I said, we felt like coming in this game, defense was going to be really important, and special teams had to be special, and they were tonight.
Yeah, Dan, this seemed to be the ultimate gut check for both teams, but specifically you in a stadium like this, crowd against you, everybody against you, you're down, final minute, you happen to do this. I mean, what does this say for you guys going forward if you're able to come into an environment and take a win like this the way you do?
We've been really good on the road, really regardless since we've hopped in this conference. And again, it wasn't always pretty, but our guys are resilient. They're tough. They can handle tough moments. And if it's a 4-quarter fight, we can do a 4-quarter fight. If it's going to go into OT, we can do that. And again, just proud of the way they handled the moment. We had guys coming to me in the end of the game like, "Coach, breathe." It's like that's what I'm telling them all week. And for them to be able to come up and say that same thing to me, it just tells you that they believe in what we're doing. It makes me really proud.
Yeah, what went into the run game, the diversity and just your effectiveness as a team that really prides itself on stopping you?
Yeah, I mean, we felt like it mattered, and we felt like obviously with the conditions today, we came out the first drive and threw it 3 times, and that wasn't necessarily by design. It was based on the box that they had. But we said we got to go win by the way we run the ball, and our running backs ran extremely hard. Tonight I got a feeling Noah's going to have a couple ice packs on him on the flight home, right? The way those guys ran and they blocked really well. But we wanted to have a variety of run game. We heard the noise all week about how they don't give up runs, and we just made note of that. And we wanted to be able to run the ball effectively in this game, and we did.
Danny Benson, obviously really big win, 10 years as a head coach. Winning at Wisconsin, 8 games in 8 weeks, the 2-minute drive, the 4th down conversion, et cetera. Penn State the overtime. But out Iowa, you just put more yards per carry on Parker than anyone put one team back in 2014. And if you look at shorthanded in these conditions, 2-minute, where does this start to rank? Where does this mean to you when playoff picture and all these other bigger things that this team just did this under these conditions?
Yeah, as much as the world tries to look ahead, we try to keep our eyes what's right in front of us. And I knew how our guys had to perform tonight, and I thought they did a great job of that. This is a tough team to run on. That's as good a defense as you'll get to play, and they play great D. But we felt like it was really important to run the ball, and we had a lot of creative ways to do that. I got to give credit to our coaches, and then credit to our players, for Janoris to step up and play a really good game. And again, we got to go watch the film, but there's a bunch of guys out there that numbers got called, Jamari and Roger, and those guys to show up and block the way they did, and our backs to run the way they did, and our wideouts blocking down the field. But we felt like that was an important key to the game, is how we win the rushing battle, and we did that tonight. Where's it ranked when it's all said and done? I'm glad we got a W, right? And I'm already thinking about Minnesota because they've had a week off waiting for us, so we'll move to that one really quick.
You mentioned guys that have kind of stepped up. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Jerry playing without Devin tonight.
Yeah.
Team career high in tackles. So much of what they do is in the box where he's at. And it seems like he is very good at
Yeah, Jerry's been a warrior for us all year. I think it's very clear that we trust him. He plays winning football. I thought he did that tonight. We had a couple misfit issues early, and not necessarily Jerry, but just in general, they had a couple runs that they hit on us, and I thought our guys made great corrections on the sideline, and we were able to handle their run game. But there was never a doubt in their mind the way that they played, and I'm really proud of that.
So many things just kind of get lost in the shuffle, but early in the game, the hit by Finney to cause the fumble,
Yeah.
recovering it. Just how important was that at that moment in time to just kind of stop their momentum?
Yeah, it was huge, and I'm sitting there saying, "Are we going to review it? Are we going to review it? Are we going to review it?" We got there, so we got to the right answer and got the right result. So I'm glad it all played out the way that it did. But big moments, right? I guess we ended up with one takeaway. They ended up with one takeaway, and that takeaway mattered, right?
Did you get an explanation why that wasn't intentional grounding?
I was told there was a wide out near. Did you see one? I was also just no, never mind. There's another question I had too. A couple other questions, but.
Dan, not that you guys are unfamiliar with playing in the rain, but just how great the conditions out there, and did you see your guys need to kind of grow into it?
No, luckily we've been seasoned and able to train in it a little bit this year. So I think that first drive was really evident to me, like this is gonna be tough to throw in. So we made a commitment to saying let's not step on the field again and have another series where we don't run the ball. But I thought they handled it well, and then we had to throw it to win at the end, and we were able to throw it to win. It was better in the second half. It was a little bit easier to throw it, but some big moments there, and our guys handled it well.
James, personnel-wise, pretty confident with the short week for Kenyon, Marshall, and DJ.
We'll reassess it. It'd be unfair for me to say right now.
And any word on Gary? Because
I don't have an update on Gary right now.
I was just curious kind of on how you thought the guys rallied in this game, but then also in the lead up with some of the question marks about who's available and kind of how those players handled the moment when some guys that were pretty integral to this team weren't there.
Yeah, I think they handled it well, and told some of those guys their roles as coaches today. You got to go out there and coach and make the people around you better. I'm anxious to get our team back and get it healthy and see where we're at, but we'll evaluate that as it comes. But I thought guys stepped up. And we always say don't wait for your opportunity, be ready for your opportunity. I thought some guys were ready for their opportunity tonight.
Last question right here.
Dan, you mentioned winning on the road. When you don't have the most veteran team, what's the key to still getting it done? In some of these
Well, we're not rookies anymore, right? We have some young players that have been playing a lot of football this season. So the time of being freshmen and young guys, like that's over with now. We've played several games, and those games, that experience, it pays off. And I think that showed up tonight.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.